I am live here with Mr. Blown for Good himself, Marc Headley. How you doing, Mark?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
What's the latest?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was in LA. I think I don't know if we talked since I got back from LA. Um, I can't remember. But yeah, we had a very good trip to LA. Got a lot of work done, did a lot of stuff. But this Danny Masterson case, sat in for a day when I was there. And yeah, I think it's wrapping up this week.
Oh,
I think that's the word on the street.
that's right. The last time we did that chat, you were in the hotel room and we were having connectivity problems, and that was a lot of fun. Just to not leave everyone wondering what we're doing here, we're just bullshitting around. We're
Yeah,
just
it's
catching up.
Monday.
We're
It's
just catching
Mondays with
up.
it's Mondays with Mark.
Mondays with Mark. Is it Monday? I didn't even know.
There you go.
Um,
Mondays with Mark.
So, the prosecution. So, we're going to bullshit around about Danny Masterson, Lisa Marie Presley, Damian Perkins, Eric Giesler, Leah Remini, the LAPD, Shelley Miscavige, just your normal Monday chat. Um, okay, so we didn't get to see your good friend, Eric. Is it Giesler or Geisler? It's Geisler, right?
It's Geisler because I call him Eric Speisler.
So, we didn't get to see your good friend, Eric Geisler, the Speisler,
We
testify.
didn't.
We didn't get to see Damian Perkins testify. But you know what? I was thinking about this just this morning is that you and I both know that Eric Geisler and Damian Perkins, their relevance to the testimony was Damian was going to be one of these witnesses, like these um uh, uh earlier consistent statements or whatever. Damon was going to be one of these witnesses that basically said, yes, such and such told me this at that time, just like we saw 3 or 4 people do that.
Most
And
likely, or he was a witness at one of the events that happened. Like he saw interactions or something. I haven't
sure,
spoken to him about exactly what was going to happen.
but his unique relevance was that Eric Geisler tried to intimidate Damian Perkins out of testifying or out of being a witness in this case. And what occurred to me this morning is that once Judge Almeida said that Lisa Marie Presley would not be allowed to testify as to who asked her to keep Jane Doe 1 from going to the police and who Lisa Marie Presley reported back to in Scientology after she did that. Once the judge said, no, Lisa Marie Presley's not allowed to testify to that, the prosecution was like, then we're not going to bother calling her, which
Yeah.
implies that's all they really wanted her to talk about, which it sort of makes sense that if they're not going to get Lisa Marie Presley to testify to witness tampering and intimidation, they're not going to bother having Eric Geisler, the Speisler, testify to it either.
Or Damien or any of that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
it's sort of a moot point at that juncture. It's a moot point because if she
Yeah.
can't do it, then neither can any of these other people that they've got lined up. So I think, and
Exactly.
also I think it was just like most bang for your buck. Like they don't want to enter something in that's just going to be a giant waste of time for everybody. So if it's not going to be
Right.
productive, then why even bother? So,
Right.
but and the other thing is that Eric, somebody sent me. I have Eric blocked on Facebook and Twitter, whatever way, calls, emails, whatever way he could contact me. I have him blocked, so I don't see or hear anything from him. And somebody sent me a screenshot of his Facebook profile, and it said Eric Geisler, not a spy. That's all. I was like, oh my goodness. So evidently he's heard us talking about him.
I sent that to you.
You sent
Um,
it to me?
yeah, I remember I
I
sent it
think,
to you, and I sent it to you, and I said, "This is real.
yeah.
This is not a
It's
shoot."
so funny as I think another person sent it to me as well, in addition to you. Like
Uh,
whenever something happens, people send me stuff, but I was like, hey, yeah, you know what? And that's a good point. Is he supposed to be, I don't know. I guess it's not the same for the jury. Like they're not supposed to be watching media and they're not supposed to be looking up what's happening with the case. I don't know if that's the case for witnesses or people that are being called in the case. I guess it's like, who cares, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they live in the real world and they're not sequestered, and they're witnesses in the damn thing. What's gonna,
And they've already been
know?
exposed to more than anybody would ever want to be exposed to. So that ship has sailed.
And they're already deposed and everything. Like everything they're
Yeah.
supposed to say and supposed to know has already been documented. But Scientology would still pull Eric Geisler, the Speisler, in and say, how are you aware that Marc Headley, or even maybe Tony wrote about it on his blog, how are you aware of people calling you a spy? Like, he would absolutely be pulled in by the ethics officer and saying, who's talking to you that's watching Aaron and Marc Headley on YouTube? And don't you agree?
Oh, 100%. And the other thing is, somebody messaged me and says, well, how do you know, how do you know Eric is a spy? Well, first of all, we have these documents that we got from Scientology that have all these meetings documented that he was meeting with them. But also, if you're in Scientology and you're in contact with people that are suppressives and you're not declared a suppressive, then there's something up. Like, you can't play both sides in Scientology and not get declared. If you're talking to SPs and it's open and people know that you're talking to them and you're hanging out with them, you're going to parties with them, then you get declared. If you're not declared, then there's some special circumstance that is involved for you to be able to just do whatever you want in Scientology and talk about Xenu and all this other stuff. And that's the case. That's the scenario that Eric is involved in. His mother and his brother and a bunch of cousins are all in Scientology, and he can talk to all of them whenever he wants. So something's up there.
Yeah.
That's how I know. For all those people who are like, how do you know? That's how.
Yeah. So when you were working at Golden Air Productions, at one point you were running the shoot crew and everything. Did you ever have any interaction with Lisa Marie Presley?
No, I didn't. The only time that I had any interaction with Lisa Marie Presley was when I was little, because my dad was a musician and he was in a band with a guy named Thad Corea, which is Chick Corea's son. And Chick Corea, not only was he in the band that my dad was in, he was in another band that was called DBAT, D-B-A-T. And that was with another guy. Thad Corea went to Delphi, Oregon, a Scientology school. And another student from Delphi that was in the band was a guy named Danny Keough. And Danny Keough was Lisa Marie's boyfriend when I was a little kid. And so a lot of times Danny would come to my dad's gigs, or my dad would go to DBAT's gigs that Danny, the band that Danny was in. And Lisa was living at the Manor at that time, and I lived right across the street. So I would see her all the time when I was a little kid, and she'd be hanging out at these parties and gigs and so on. So most of the interaction that I had with her was when I was a little kid. I was probably, 7 to like 12. And once I started working for Scientology and I was working at the headquarters, I never saw her come to the property ever once. There was always grumblings of what was happening with her. And, in the Sea Org, whenever there's a celebrity that goes in session or that's in any kind of trouble or there's some kind of gossip happening with them, that's the Sea Org's People magazine. We hear about all that shit. That's like, oh, did you hear what Tom Cruise got in a motorcycle accident right on the highway here? That was like a big deal in the early 90s or the late 80s. He was driving a Harley down the highway right next to the property, and he laid the bike down. And
Wow.
It was a big deal. But the only people that I remember, Tom Cruise came to the property. Tom Cruise probably came more than anybody. And then we had John Travolta and Kelly came, and I gave them a tour of a studio that when I was over the studio, I gave them a tour of the whole studio. John Travolta and Kelly. I remember specifically because Kelly was pregnant at the time, and David Miscavige walked in with her and John Travolta into this like foyer that was introducing them to me, and then I was going to take them through the whole studio. And embarrassingly enough, I did not know when you get pregnant that the front part of the woman grows considerably. And so when they walked into the foyer, I was just staring at her tits the whole time, like. And then and David Miscavige did one of these, and I was like, "Let's do a tour." And then I took him on the tour, but there was probably like a pregnant pause, awkward moment there where I was just like stunned into silence. And then I never heard anything about it, so I recovered quickly enough, but it felt like an eternity to me. Like, oh shit, we got to do a tour, and then I did the tour. But I'm trying to think. The only other person I think was there was Kirstie Alley when they set up a course room, like a fake course room for Tom to study in, and Nicole Kidman was there with Tom when he first came, and they brought Kirstie there. And she was doing some like make work, like some not thing she would ever do in Scientology, but she was studying in the course room. So
what do you mean make work?
She was a prop. Like, oh, we're not doing this special for Tom. We do this for all the big celebrities. And so Kirstie's there studying while Tom is auditing me in the background at this, it was a conference room that was like a motif of Knights of the Round Table. So there were like knight in shining armors on either side of the big doorway, and there's a big wood conference table. And Tom was auditing me over at that end of the room. And at the other end of the room, Nicole was studying and Kirstie was studying, and whoever was assigned to like work with them, their twin, like the student that pairs up with another Scientology student, was over there. But the only other people that really came to the property, like celebrities, were mostly musicians. That was it. So like Chick Corea, John Travolta again sang on a bunch of songs that Scientology produced on the that was like in the 80s. That was like they have an album. God, we should go through all their cheese.
The Road to Freedom album.
The Road to Freedom. Oh my God, that album. So
when I was little, I mean, my mom would keep that thing on repeat in the car, like for months. It's all that ever played in the car.
Same. I know every word to every song on that cassette. My mom played that cassette so many times it just disintegrated. Like the cassette just fell apart. It was played, and there was no ink on the cassette because it had been played so many times it was just worn off.
Do you remember even Frank Stallone was one of the recording artists on that thing?
Frank Stallone, Leif Garrett is on that. When he was like he wasn't like a teen star anymore. He was like in his like 20s, late 20s and 30s, and it was like, yeah, you're not a star anymore, dude.
Was Priscilla Presley actually on it? Or Karen Black was on it.
Karen Black, Gail Moran, Chick Corea, Frank Stallone. Wow, yeah.
I'm guessing David Pomerantz, but nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
Wait, not David, Jeff, whichever one, whoever the voiceover guy is.
Oh, no, you were.
Oh, no, we just had a connection problem. Your Starlink went out.
No, I'm still here. You went out.
Oh, well, of course it looks like that. Go ahead.
God damn it, Elon, get my Starlink up. No, it works great. It works great on download. Upload is like 5 to 10 in there somewhere.
Oh, that makes sense.
But yeah, there was David Pomerantz was in there. He's a musician. There is another guy called Jeff Pomerantz. I'm pretty sure they have no relation to each other. And he's the voiceover guy. And he might have actually been involved too, but I don't remember him. But when I was at the base, Jeff Pomerantz, the voiceover guy, we saw him like every few months for the entire 15 years I was there, because he did all these VOs for the events, and there was usually like 3 or 4 videos that he'd have to do voiceovers for. So we would see him all the time. Yeah. But I'm trying to think if there was somebody else. There's another guy named Michael D. Roberts who was kind of like I think we might have talked about him before. He was the guy in Rain Man, that is like the orderly that's like wheeling Dustin Hoffman around, or like
He was my main man Vern.
My main man Vern. That's right, my main man Vern. And I think that he got that job because of Tom Cruise, like threw him a bone kind of thing. In Battlefield Earth, there's a ton of people in that movie. Like I'm pretty sure Tate Rupert, who's like a Scientology kind of actor guy, comedian, stand-up improv comic, he's in Battlefield Earth. I think Jim Meskimen, another stand-up improv comic in Scientology, he's in it. Yeah, that's kind of a common thing. I don't get the Jerry Maguire, Kelly Preston thing though.
How did that happen?
I don't know. And also,
hey, John, would you like me to bang your wife on screen?
Yeah.
I hear she could use the work.
As like the opening scene, I think. Like the movie starts with them banging. And also, yeah, that's just crazy. Like when we saw it, I was just like, what? Like...
Of all the people in Hollywood. Hey, John, I think your wife would be great for this role.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that. And John and Tom were never friends.
Right.
Like they weren't buddies that we knew. Dave would talk shit about both of them depending on, what time period it was. But it was usually Dave talking shit about John to Tom. That's usually how that was. So we got this distinct impression that Tom was not a big fan of John, and Dave kind of gave the impression that he wasn't a fan of John to Tom. But then when he was talking to John, it was like, you're the best in the world, John. You're getting this Battlefield Earth movie made. Good for you, blah, blah, blah.
It's amazing how many, let's say, small-time actors sort of exist in the orbits of like John Travolta and Tom Cruise. And yet, despite that advantage, especially in an industry where who is everything, despite that advantage, these people do not break into the industry. John Travolta puts Tate Rupert into little tiny parts of most of his movies. He was in Swordfish. He was in General's Daughter. Like you said, he might have been in Battlefield Earth. In fact,
he's one of the prisoners in Battlefield Earth. He's one of the other.
Is he?
Like when they're getting fed the slop and all that in like Barry Pepper, who plays the main guy. Tate and these other guys are with him with the man animals being held prisoners. That's the part they got.
In 1998. When I moved to LA, I took like a 2-year hiatus from being on staff, right? Moved to Hollywood, signed up with Central Casting, was cast as background in this movie. And I show up on set and they're like, oh, it's the movie called The General's Daughter. I'm like, oh, who's in it? They're like, John Travolta. I'm like, and then so I'm an extra on this set for like 2 weeks. And then they're running around and they're looking for someone to be a stand-in, but they, all they care is your hair color, your eye color, and your skin color, whatever. I ended up being Tate Rupert's stand-in on The General's Daughter.
What?
Yes.
That's insane.
I go, I know you from all the tech films. And he goes, oh, you're a Scientologist. Oh, it's so nice. He goes, it's so nice to have other uptone people on set. And I'm thinking, uptone? Is this how the public talk? How theedy-weedy? Jesus.
Right? Oh, I know, dude. When we used to shoot with those guys, so we used to shoot with Jim and Tate, that whole kind of crowd of the not really celebrities in the real world, but in Scientology they were celebrities because they were in lots of stuff. But when we would shoot with them from Golden Era, we would put them through the ringer, so they wouldn't get paid SAG or scale, and there was no craft services. There was a table with rainbow beef and sweaty cheese and some stale bread and help yourself there, big guy. But,
not even craft services for those guys.
Not really. Like I think the biggest thing they got was like when we broke for lunch, we might send somebody out to like Subway to get them a sandwich. Like that was about as and we might get them coffee from Starbucks or something, but that was it. And meanwhile, we were eating the rainbow beef and the sweaty cheese for lunch, and they would get a Subway. So just like barely up from the galley, whatever that we packed the night. Like the galley at Gold would make our food the night before and just put it in trays, and then it'd be sitting in a hot car for a few hours, and then sitting in a hot like dining area for a few hours. So, but by the time you got to it, it was rainbow beef and sweaty cheese. Legit. It wasn't, it was not refrigerated.
Hey, when Tom Cruise would come to the base, would he come by helicopter or would he actually drive the hour and a half from LA?
I don't ever remember him arriving in a vehicle. It was almost always when we knew he was arriving. Where I worked was this building. It was called Building 36, or the manufacturing building. And the chopper would land right outside our workspace window. So when he would show up, we would know because there's a freaking helicopter landing right outside our window.
Oh, it really was a helicopter. Wow.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And also, when Tom Cruise was coming, there would be like weeks of prep. So we'd be cleaning all day and all night. The grounds people would be like edging the lawns and mowing, and like they would paint. If there was a brown spot, they'd be painting that and like color matching it so you couldn't tell, like literally color matching the green. It was like,
wow.
Anyway,
so they would
knew.
bring in people like Kirstie Alley just so that Tom thought he wasn't the only one that was doing his courses at the base.
Yeah, that was my impression, because she was never there. Like, I never saw her once besides when Tom was coming. Then she was magically there studying in the same place. And you're like, what? Like, why is Kirstie here? Like, she was also like OT something or other. She'd already done whatever course she was studying or whatever she was doing. She'd probably done that like 10 years ago. She didn't need to do introductory courses in Scientology. So there was definitely a prop vibe to the whole setup. Like, none of those people needed to be there besides him. None of them.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Lisa Marie question real quick, and maybe you don't know this, but I'll ask it anyway. And I'll ask Leah herself soon. I'll have her on a live chat, but Lisa Marie Presley has got to be older than Leah, right? I mean, I think Leah is maybe 50, if not even quite. Like, I remember thinking Leah's like, my wife's 49. I remember thinking like Leah's not older than my wife, I think. You have any idea?
I think Leah's a few years older. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's why I'm
not
asking.
By much, but Lisa, like when I was seeing Lisa when I was a little kid, she was only like maybe, I don't know, 7 to 10 years older than I was. She wasn't that much older. She was like a late teens, early 20s.
Okay. Lisa Marie's 54.
Yeah. I bet you Leah is right around there.
Leah's 52. Okay. So here's what's weird. I guarantee you, if I ask Leah,
yeah,
did you know what was going on with the Danny Masterson stuff at that time? She's going to be like, no, I didn't hang out with any of those people. Why in the hell is Lisa Marie hanging around with Danny Masterson and his friends?
She wasn't hanging around with Danny Masterson. There was a person who was her friend.
Just Luke.
No, I think
Jane Doe 1.
Yeah, she was friends with Lisa.
No. Remember, Luke was Danny's best friend, and Lisa Marie was going out with Luke for a long time.
I understand that, but I don't think she was hanging out with Danny.
That's true. We haven't heard that story, but Luke's hanging out with Danny, and Luke's living with Lisa Marie and Lisa Marie's boyfriend, and there's no overlap there. Well, or if there is overlap, it's because of Luke.
I'll give you a great example. You go to that cigar lounge, right?
Well, I don't anymore.
Well, you used to. You used to go to a cigar lounge. Heather wasn't over at the cigar lounge hanging out with the cigar guys.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's how I like, she might know of the cigar lounge, and she might know of some of the people. She might know that, you know, that whatever that place where Hulk Hogan hangs out, she might know Hogan's
Yeah.
hangout. She might, of course, she knows, oh, Hulk Hogan owns the place, but she ain't hanging out with Hulk Hogan. She doesn't know
No,
about
not
his
like me.
girlfriend.
Not like me and the Hulkster.
That's
No.
right. So that's like me and Dog, you know. Dog lives here where I live, but you know, Claire's not hanging out with Dog.
By the way, did you get a chance to tell Dog that we got a job for him? We got a little fellow named David Miscavige that he can help us find.
I haven't, but I've been going. So he goes to this one tanning joint right next to the Starbucks. I don't go to Starbucks a lot, but if I go, that's the one I try to go to because I know his vehicle and I know when I could tell if he's there or not. But I always go by the Starbucks and then I drive it past the tanning joint to see if his SUV's there. And if it's there, then I would just be like, oh, maybe I need to run into Dog and tell him, hey, if we need to find this, there's one Southpaw elf that we need some help locking down. And Dog, you're the guy, you know. If anybody can find him, you're gonna find him.
If anybody can find David Miscavige, it's gonna be Dag the Bounty Hunter. The next hearing in one of the civil cases where David Miscavige is what's the right word? He's one of the named defendants in the civil case. I'm talking about the civil suit by the three former Sea Org members in Australia. So Laura Baxter, Gawain Baxter, and Valeska Perez, right?
Yeah.
They are suing a few entities, but specifically David Miscavige. The next hearing is here in Tampa in 3 days. I'm going to be there. And at that hearing, we will find out. We should find out for sure whether David Miscavige has been successfully served.
Well, yeah, that they will just say, we consider him served now because you've done everything you could do.
Yeah. So by the way, I've seen this question in the chat. Yes, in 15 minutes, I am starting a live stream interview with former NXIVM member Kelly Thiel and my good friend Andrew Gold. I actually don't know if it's pronounced Kelly Thiel or Kelly Teal, but we'll find out soon enough. So if you guys are watching this and you want to see that, just hang tight. You can watch us live or you can just watch the replay later, but that's what's going on. That's one of the reasons we decided to jump on here and BS around because I got
You're
something.
already doing another show anyway.
I'm already doing another one. Let's see what else. Hey, maybe you can give me an update. How many of these bad boys do you think we still have in stock at the SP shop?
I could tell you that we have 600 and change.
So we ordered an extra 500 when we still had like a couple hundred in stock.
Well, we had 100 something, and we didn't want to run out because usually we get a lot of sales in like October, November, December for the Christmas season. Hold on.
Yeah.
Mine, I need to send you some other ones because all of yours look like they've been wrenched. He's looking over. He's like looking over at somebody. Mine, he looks like he's looking forward, and mine actually still have some bobble in them. And yours. Oh yeah, I guess yours are okay. But it seems like he's distracted. He's looking over somewhere. So
you can't necessarily tell just on the camera, but these are not plastic. These are would you call them clay? What are they?
They're ceramic.
They're ceramic. They're heavy.
They pour them into a mold, and then they're cast basically, and then they paint them. They're individually painted.
They're hand painted.
And, and they really do look like Mike. It's a really good one. It's so much better than the one Scientology made of Mike. Like it's just miles better. But yeah, we sell these on the SP shop, and 100% of the proceeds of anything that you buy on the SP shop go to the Aftermath Foundation. And we have been helping. I mean, we've been really helping a lot of people this last year, and due in no small part to the people that support the Aftermath Foundation through the SP shop. You can get, I think right now we've got Mike Rinder bobbleheads, and we've also got SP bracelets, and the SP bracelets are a very big seller. And look at Aaron's got, he doesn't wear his is really nice.
I don't wear any jewelry.
I've worn mine for since we made them, and it still looks really good. They're
Yeah.
stainless steel, and there's a little sizing chart in there if you want to figure out your size. And yeah, it's a good way to support the Aftermath Foundation, help people. When we first started the Aftermath Foundation, our idea is that we would help people who had left and they needed a help, getting their feet on the ground and getting a job and whatever you need to do that. And since we've, I'd say over the past year or two, it's graduated. Like we're talking to people that are in an org and doing a job and like going to the nearby college and getting on the Wi-Fi and calling us and saying, I need out of this place. So,
I mean, I'll say this because I'm not actually identifying the person. There's even an instance where we helped a Sea Org member who was still in the Sea Org on post retain an attorney who sent an email to Scientology's attorney and said, I am representing such and such and so. You're to immediately cease any communications with my client. You are not to interfere with them in any way. You are to have their belongings delivered to such and such a place at such and such time. And then we even, oh, someone's sending me a text. That's fine. Forget it. And we helped get this person back to their family and get them set up and squared away. And helped well, there's some other behind the scenes stuff that we'll save for later, but either way, crazy stuff.
Yeah. And guess what, guys, when one of these people do get a hold of the Aftermath Foundation, Scientology rolls out the red carpet for them to not be messed with. Like they don't want to make any more trouble than they need to for these people that we're helping get out. And I don't think we've had anybody that we've been helping has been really messed with, Aaron.
Oh yeah, nobody.
Nobody. At least they haven't reported it to us of any harassment or anything. Once you get involved with the Aftermath SPs, you're kryptonite to Scientology. They don't want to touch you. They want to. They're going to let you do your thing. So if there's anybody out there watching this that needs to reach out to the Aftermath Foundation, don't worry. You're golden. We'll hook you up. We'll set you up. We'll make it. We'll make you're not going to have to do a leaving sec check. You're not going to have to route out. You're not going to have to turn over your post. You're not going to have to do anything. You just go wherever you want to go, and we'll help you get there.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean, even just today, we helped another person who'd born and raised in Scientology and was declared SP for ridiculous reasons, family disconnected, friends disconnected, left to fend for themselves without any support network, any education, anything. And
yeah, they're declaring people for the most insane things these days. There was that one lady in Clearwater got declared an SP because she watched Leah on Dancing with the Stars. What? I mean, they're insane over there now. They're doing some craziness.
That must have been the last straw. I mean, speaking of which, did you see the tweet from not that many years ago of Mackenzie Phillips, Danny Masterson's sister-in-law, publicly supporting Leah Remini?
Yeah. Well, she's not a Scientologist. She
True.
might be there. I mean, she's a sister-in-law in this case.
True.
She ain't a Scientologist. If she's watched the show, I mean, I think that was the tweet. Great show, right? It was about I think it was about the aftermath, or about her leaving.
No,
it was when she left. It was when she left.
One was about Leah's book. I just read your book. It was great. And the other one was commending her for filing the missing persons report on Shelley Miscavige. Yeah.
So
that's pretty wild, right?
Yeah. But also that she's a little bit of a loose cannon in the Masterson clan. She did a video with Bijou that was, I think, a little too revealing here and there and whatever.
She is. And by the way, and I've mentioned in a video how Well, you and I both have sources that have told us Danny behaves physically inappropriately with Bijou, but I will also say Bijou herself has a history of, and I'm speaking in code here, of being physically and intimately inappropriate with others without consent as well. I think you have a little bit of a two peas in a pod situation here.
But also that family, that whole Phillips family's got all kinds of there's a long history of nonsense in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot going on there. Yeah, the dad.
Yeah. Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's not. They don't have a good track record in this department. So
not at all. All right. So you've got a hard stop in a few minutes, as do I. So let's wrap it up there. And when we have more to chat about, we'll do a chat about it.
Yeah.
Thanks
or I'll see you next Monday.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Talk to you soon.